In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the driver's side front CV axle on your Nissan Rogue, located right behind the front wheel. Want to go ahead and remove your center cap. Go ahead and put your fingers underneath and gently tug outward. Pop those right off. It's going to give you access to the 521mm nuts. Go ahead, loosen and remove those. Once you have those off, grab the wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Using an 18mm deep socket, we're going to go ahead, loosen and remove this nut here. This bolt goes through to the other side. Remove the nut. Remove the washer. You want to go ahead and remove this bolt. I'm going to use my impact gun and try and remove it from the other side. Now I want to go ahead and use our chisel. I'm going to go right inside here, and what this is the pinch bolt design ball joint. So I want to go ahead and open this up a little bit to release the clamping pressure on the ball joint here. Using a chisel, hammer in some safety glasses. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. I'm going to go ahead and work the control arm ball joint up and down. I'm going to go ahead and install a lug nut here. And what this is going to do is it's going to stabilize our brake rotor. And what we're going to do is use our pole jack here. If you want to, you can use your regular jack underneath the brake rotor. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and compress our suspension. Raise up your jack, and we're going to bring this up. And by raising up our suspension or compressing it, it's going to change the geometry of the control arm. This is going to allow for this ball joint to pop out a lot easier, and then we can go ahead and remove the bolts on the chassis side. I'm going to go ahead and use our Pickle Fork here to go ahead and work that ball joint down and out. So we got our rust to break up. We removed our pole jack here. We installed our chisel again to open up the clamping pressure here. Go ahead and tap your chisel free. Using a 10mm socket, go ahead, loosen and remove the bolt holding your ABS sensor. Grab that sensor, pull it out, set that aside. Using a pair of pliers or cutters, grab the cotter pin here. Open this up. And then we'll go ahead and work this out. Now, cotter pins are a one-time use, so you're going to make sure you have a replacement cotter pin. Using a 32mm socket, let's go ahead and loosen and remove our axle nut. Remove that nut. Now we went ahead and we put this lug nut on to hold the rotor in place, just to stabilize it. Check the movement of the axle here. The splines are free. If your axle is stuck and will not move in, you can use a punch here and a hammer and knock that free. You want to have that loose like that. At this point here, I'm going to go ahead and push this axle, and we're going to pull out on the knuckle. I'm going to use a pry bar on the inside here. We're going to come up between the axle and the transmission and just gently pop that out. You want to have a catch can underneath to go ahead and catch any transmission fluid that might be coming out. Now the axle dislodged, go ahead and pull out on that knuckle. Grab that axle and pull that out. Now at this point here, inspect the seal around the transmission. If the seal is torn, worn, or shows any signs of damage, now is the time to replace it. Our seal is in good condition. Let's go ahead and line up our axle. Feed this in. Now you're going to feel it slide in, and you can turn it and you'll feel it's locked into place. Now at this point here, I'm going to use a rubber mallet to go ahead and hit the end of the axle. That's going to go ahead and pop it into the transmission. If you don't have one of these here, you can simply use a block of wood and a hammer. You do not want to smash the end of this here and ruin the threads with a regular hammer. I'm going to go ahead and apply some grease to the splines here. Let's go ahead and work this axle in and around. Feed the axle into the back side of the wheel hub. Feed the bolt through the back side of the knuckle. Install the nut. Let's go ahead and tighten down the bolt. Torque down the lower ball joint nut to 46 foot-pounds. Install the axle nut, and we're going to zip that down. Remove the lug nut. Install that bolt. Let's go ahead and snug that down. Once it bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. Install 2 lug nuts. Use the pry bar as a stopper. Torque the axle nut down to 92 foot-pounds. Remove the pry bar. Remove the lug nuts. Install the new cotter pin. Go ahead and tap that down. Cut off the other tab. Go ahead and take your wheel. Line that up. Let's go ahead and get the lug nuts all started by hand first. Once you have them all started, go ahead and snug them down. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. Now, installing your center cap, you want to make sure that the notch here lines up with the valve stem. Pop it on and you're all set. Finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle. Locate your transmission dipstick and fill tube underneath the hood. Now, right on the side, there's a little retaining clip. You can normally just reach down and pry that out with your hand on the side, or use a small pocket screwdriver to prop the tab on it. Pull that up and out. I want to go ahead and check the fluid level. There is a hot location up here inside of two little arrows, so if the vehicle is up to operating temperature, the transmission fluid should be up here. Ours is low. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this. Set that dipstick aside. Use a clean, small funnel and add the appropriate fluid for the CVT transmission. In our case here, it's an S2 fluid. Go ahead and pull up that funnel. I'm going to use our dipstick and just install it 180 degrees so that the lock doesn't catch. It'll make it easy for us to insert it and pull it right back out and check that fluid level. Now, at this point here, the engine has been warmed up. We've cycled the shifter back and forth through the park and the other gears. I want to go ahead and continue to add this fluid here. Just going to do one more check. I want to make sure we get an accurate reading, and we're still low. So we're going to continue to add fluid until we can get it up to that proper level. And at this point here, we're able to get our fluid filled up to the hot mark here. Go ahead and install that dipstick. Make sure that the tab itself here is going to line up with the locking tab here. Push that down and snap it into place.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.